Double R Flowtown. We have Mr. Tim Norwood with us today. Mr. Tim, thank you so much for coming.
Well, it's not Mr. Tim, it's just Tim.
I don't know if we can do that.
Yes, you can.
I don't think we can.
Maybe by the end of the podcast, we can drop the Mister.
It might be Uncle Norwood.
No, just Tim is good. Thank you. So delighted to be here. I'm so proud of what y'all have done with it. And I love the entrance, the video entrance. Got Victor's and Hotel Florence are prominently on there. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, those are your babies.
Yes, they
along
are.
with several other things in Florence. And
You've helped us with a good backdrop, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank y'all for doing it.
Yeah. Why don't we start? I'd love to tell people kind of your development background, your business background. I know that's a big question, but just kind of.
I am 70 years old. So that's a lot of territory to cover.
I'd love to hear the highlights from you.
Well, let's see some. I grew up in Darlington and was in the home building business for a little while until I lost my shirt, and then went through like 7 years of hell trying to find out who I was and what I was doing, and finally got that straight, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually all together, and started doing some stuff with mobile homes and real estate, and then an old friend of mine called, Jim Brown. He called and had an opportunity for me if I wanted to do it, so I went to work with him as a wannabe equity partner. You can earn equity in this business, and so he and Frank Chisholm gave me a great opportunity. And about 3 years into that, I became an equity partner after we'd closed. We built our business just grew so rapidly, and what we did was we managed federal and state tax incentives, and we worked with large clients, Federal Express, UPS, Tyson Foods, Walmart, Walgreens. I mean, it's hardly Kelly Services. There's hardly a vertical in the industry that we didn't manage and own the top 3 or 4 of that, whether it's retail or temporary staffing services or manufacturing or well, I already said retail is another industry that we just handled. We built it, and we built it up to about 500 employees.
Wow!
And then we had ADP, automated data processing, came kind of out of nowhere, and wanted to put our business in their salespeople's bag. And after a few months negotiating, we ended up selling our business. SMS was what our business was called. Sold it to ADP, and then I worked there about 12 years until it got not fun anymore. Yeah. And but I loved working at ADP, and they treated us so much like an independent. We were 500 employees out of ADP's 100,000. I mean, we were just a tiny little. We weren't even a rounding error on their balance sheet, but the executives there loved how Jim ran the company, and we were very nimble. He ran his division. We were very nimble, and we could turn on a dime and do something very entrepreneurial. And so when that left, that we had our third president of our division came in, and basically he told us as well, you boys y'all been running rogue here for a number of years, and so now that square peg y'all are, you got to fit in this round hole. And so they just it wasn't fun anymore. Hard to get contracts done. It just wasn't fun. And so I retired. Jimmy followed me the next year. Non-competes expired, and we created a business called Synergy Partners, and built that real quickly to a very large national presence. And then I retired from there 3 years ago. Okay. And so that's the highlights.
Well, you said something very interesting, and I know we want to get to the Food and Wine Festival and all the work that you've done downtown with Hotel Florence, Victor's, and many other things. But failure, I've heard many people say failure tends to shape us, and failure often teaches us more than success does. And you've had a lot of success, but you said at the beginning you failed. You kind of went through hell in that first, construction. So not so much, don't take us through the bloody guts of it, but what lessons do you think as a business person did you learn from that catapulted you into all the success you've had?
Not giving up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's hard. I cry all the time.
That's okay.
Not fearing failure is a big deal. Not giving up, being persistent. Even though I went through that failure period, I never lost my risk-taking desire to risk, which that's usually what keeps people from doing anything, either risk or fear of failure. And the only thing I always learned, whatever I failed at, or I had a learning lesson from that. And it's I think the part of your growth is being able to look inside and what do I need to do to improve. And so many people, I think, when they have that failure, it stops there. They don't try to find out because it's like the world's against me, I quit. And whatever it may be, and whatever station in life you are when that happens, I think it's the big part is pushing through it, learning from it, and hopefully not repeating that mistake. Hopefully, I said.
Yeah.
You're still going to repeat some mistakes, but you have to learn from them and just keep moving forward.
That's a good word. And we also heard a repeated theme that we've heard from a lot of, the guys we've had on this podcast who've been really successful, the ability to take risk. You don't get anywhere without taking risk.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's what we want young people in this town to hear from you. We've got to feed back into the young people in this town and help grow them so they can be successful too. But it's so good for them to hear, hold on, he failed and got back up and came back even stronger. We're all going to fail.
100%.
It's going to happen.
And, the future of Florence is, like you're saying, is young people. Yeah. It's those 16-year-olds right now that may go off to college, but the key is coming back.
Yes.
Or it's like me. I went to Francis Marion and I stayed. Except for 2 years I lived in Texas, I've been here. And Jim Brown, one of my business partners, he's been here.
Y'all were at Francis Marion together?
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
You had a good crew at Francis Marion.
Yeah, I did.
Mr. Eddie Mazinga. I met another guy the other day, and I keep meeting people that were in your class there. Y'all had an interesting group.
Yeah, we had a good group. We had Eddie and myself and Jimmy, Glenn Tart, Billy Hoyland, George McIntyre. Ken Jackson was on part of that, a little on the peripheral.
That's right. Y'all trained him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and of course he was a KA, but we had back then I was a Pi Kappa Alpha. The KAs we were mortal enemies during rush season, but we were all friends.
Oh yeah.
It was a great several years out of Francis Marion.
Florence, I find that Florence people stick together a little different. Even when you're in Charleston, I know you enjoy going to Charleston, right. And we go there some too. And I'm always attracted to, even if I'm in Charleston, I'm hanging out with Florence people half the time. We have some.
We go down to Garden City where we have a house. Everybody's that we hang out from Florence. It's a Florence connection, but it's different Florence people. It's not the people I always see here. It's the people I see there.
I know. Florence is an interesting place.
Well, we're in such a great spot as a city. We physically where we're located. 95 and 20. All the industrial people we have here at Honda and GE. I mean, it's incredible. And then where we are now with our leadership in the county and city governments, we're all kind of working hand in hand. And Greg Robinson doing such a great job. Yeah. I mean, I really think that our town's going to blow up in the next 5 years, which is not always a good thing, because having traffic issues and that kind of stuff. But that's part of the progress, but it also is opportunity for the young people that are here that will have opportunity to stay here.
like Reeves says, if you're not growing, you're going backwards.
That's right.
So we got to grow, and
Yes.
hopefully the right way.
Yeah.
And I think we are both, one of the things that I have always kind of scratched my head at is how we can, even educationally, get Francis Marion more into the middle of what's happening from an education standpoint. And that's happening with some of the development they're doing right here in downtown. And bringing in some medical degrees and schools and that type of thing. So I agree. It's all synergizing. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool to see what will happen next. And you and all of your guys have just done a tremendous amount to bring Florence to where it's at today, and excited to continue that progress.
It was so exciting when we in 2010, because I was still working at ADP.
Yeah.
And in 2010, we started the project Hotel Florence, maybe 09. It runs together 09 or 10, and we opened in 13. So it was a lot of negotiation on the front end with the city, trying to get them. We had a challenge getting the city to believe that we really wanted to do it.
Wow.
And because they were
that was still early in the downtown process.
Way early. I mean, every building here was boarded up, or it had some. It was a bad retail location, and it was early on, and but that was there are certain parts of your life that are just fun, and that was such a fun 3 or 4 years of just creating the idea that we wanted to put a hotel here and move my restaurant here, and then that 3-year process, and then when we opened it, gosh, that was so much fun, and then. And it's not that it's not fun anymore, but it was just that build up. Yeah, it was, and then see the success of it, and the acceptance of Florence of it. What made it even special, when so many people saying it wouldn't succeed, and that we were fools for doing it. I mentioned Jimmy a couple of times, but Jim Brown and I we've been knowing each other since 1975. And so he was one of the worst ones. He said, "Tim, you're a fool. You're throwing your money away.
Who's going to stay downtown?
Who's going to stay downtown? All that crime down there." And of course, there was no crime because there was nobody here.
Nothing to steal.
Nothing to steal. So anyway, he and I got a couple of really serious arguments about it. And but to hear him say it, he jumped in. The paddle the boat out to save me with all the other investments he and I've done downtown. Yeah, but
well, that's that entrepreneurial spirit you have. That competitive spirit. Go out and do something that nobody else has done. To have a vision to see it.
Yeah,
and I know projects we're working on. You now having done many projects and gotten to the other side and seen the success of it. Has got to be incredibly satisfying.
It is very satisfying. And honestly, I get too much credit. I seem to get more of the face of it than my other partners. And I've got great partners. That's what made this so successful. Okay. Gray Rains with the hotel experience, Ben Ziegler with the legal experience, Chris Scott with the development experience. I had an architect, Randy Key, with his experience, and I had the restaurant. So it just all came together, and everybody did their part. And then not only that, we had, politically, we had so many people that were part of it. Whether it was Senator Leatherman or Lindsey Graham or Dr. Carter, Francis Marion, all had a part, in the success of that. I tell people often that it wasn't that I'm not that great visionary, Reeves. I just kind of read some tea leaves. Bruce and Lee has been so instrumental to Florence.
Yes.
And they built that big library that opened up in like 06 or 4 or 6, something like that, which was one of the most magnificent buildings anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous. And then I knew the Little Theater was being redone. Right. So, the library, the Little Theater, then the Performing Arts Center, and somebody's got to service these things, right? And then the museum, and that's probably $80 million of investment. And then Francis Marion, we knew what they were going to do. I didn't know for sure, but didn't know the timing of it. But when you're looking out 5 years and you saw these things were coming, and it just made sense for us to do it.
Now we need probably some more housing downtown
Oh, 100%.
to round it out, right?
Yeah, I'm the FDDC is an integral part of the downtown roadmap, and always looking for young people like y'all to join the board like that.
Okay.
There's a couple of openings coming up next year.
Oh, what is that? The what?
Florence Downtown Development Corporation.
Okay.
And it's what it does, the master plan for all the downtown area. And of course, the downtown is a lot bigger than our 4 blocks. It's being expanded, and we're growing into it. But one of the master plan there is for us to have 1,000 units of 1,000 people living downtown. It's 10 years, which is ridiculous. We should do that in like 3.
I agree. Yeah, I think we can.
I think we can. We can do it in 5 for sure.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that downtown housing is,
good.
and we've got a couple of projects. We have there's a piece of land that I think we call it Blue Chip, is where Ken Jackson, Marva Smalls, and Scott Collins and I are looking to build like 9 condos over here on Dargan Street.
Cool.
And we've got the plans just about finished and trying to get it bid out now. So we'll see what kind of money we're talking about. But that 9 nice,
Like
high
end.
well, I'm not sure how. We got to push the market. I think high end,
yes.
right? Yeah,
Well, yeah.
You're probably 400,000,
That's-
450,
yeah, I mean,
something like that.
that's
would
good
say
for
that's-
Florence.
I would say
That's
high.
pushing the market. in
Pushing the
Florence.
market, yeah.
It's pushing the
You know,
market.
Teddy built those townhomes on
Oh,
Travis
I
Street.
love them. Aren't they gorgeous?
Yeah, they look. I mean, it changes that block
Yeah,
already.
it does.
But we're pushing the market a little bit.
Yeah.
We're pushing the
Because
rent.
the rent's like 18.
2,200.
22.
Man.
Yeah. Hey. No, that's a deal. Come on, Tim.
You'll
We
get
can
it.
sign
Go get
you-
it.
sign
Go
you
get
up
it.
right here.
I'll take 2.
We might be a little early, but I think we'll get the right.
Well, so they're
doctors.
getting 1,800 over here in Emerson,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think
These
that's
are 3
fair.
beds, so-
3 bedrooms.
3
I
beds.
admit the opening was canceled last week.
Yeah,
right?
it was canceled. It
It's
was
coming.
raining, but we're going to have another one. I'll see.
April 2nd.
April 2nd. I'd love to go through there
Yeah.
and
We'd
see them.
love
3 bedrooms.
3
nice.
bed, 3 bath. They're nice.
Oh,
3 full
that-
bath.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good student housing there, buddy.
That's what we were kind of
That's-
thinking.
Yeah, that's right. You might
That's
want to raise it, make it 1,800 a unit, a room.
Oh yeah.
Well, my son's a student at USC.
Yeah, that's what so he's
and
paying
that's,
for that.
That's what he's paying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm paying in Columbia.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
1,800 for-
why didn't I buy some,
Yeah.
apartments and
Yeah.
charge $1,800
Yeah,
a
central living area and
Yeah.
bedroom and a bath. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but for you to pay that.
Yeah, that's right.
Rents in Florence, big picture, strong.
Yeah.
If you look at the country and then you look at Florence, our rents are right up there. I mean, we get good rent money in
That's
Florence.
good. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. What's your kind of vision for downtown specifically? Like, I love Elliot's Barbecue and what you did there, and we came in that way, and it's like, okay, I see the vision of getting from that Highway 52 I-95 exit back into downtown. That corridor feels like it's going to happen.
It does. And again, that's, the city planning, Clinton Moore has been fantastic. I don't know if y'all have had Clint on here before.
We need to.
You need to. He's
Yeah.
excellent. He's, and also Hannah Davis, with the director. She's not director. She's runs the Downtown Development Corporation. Great people to have on here. But that's part of the city's vision. When we went out there, we were pressing our luck doing what we did.
Yeah.
And but it's turned out really great.
That's
and then
awesome.
there's that residential care facility or nursing home going next door.
Yeah.
And then that corridor, Chase's, there's a couple of empty buildings and Chase's next, and then QAT's got that night. They've improved that property a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a vision to take it out. There's going to be a road also coming in from Carolina Bank Field out to 52.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when that's done, that'll really open up the Floyd Tennis Center and Carolina Bank Field out to 52.
Okay.
That'd be a really it kind of opens up that area so they don't get trapped out on Cashua and not know where to go and go away from downtown.
That's right.
Which I want every business to succeed, but but I'd love for them to come downtown.
That will make it feel, that all, because I've always thought, man, I wish that baseball field was downtown.
Oh
You
gosh,
know.
I wanted it so badly down here, but it
wasn't the right spot.
Yeah, ideally in my mind, I'd love to have been where Hope Health is.
Yeah.
But I mean, how can you complain what Hope Health has done?
That's
I mean,
right.
my
Yeah.
goodness,
They're doing a good job.
They're
Carl
helping
and
a
that
lot
group
of
are doing a great job, and a lot of employees, and but it's turned out great there. But it would have been great to have that field downtown somewhere.
Yeah.
But maybe downtown's going to feel closer to that once it all fills in some.
Yeah, I think that's where it's kind of going, because it's not that far. It's a mile from here to Elliott's and Seminar. So it's really something that can be filled in, and that Coit Street corridor can be cleaned up. It's really crossing the tracks and getting things cleaned up, which is exactly what Hope Health has done.
Yeah.
They've cleaned that whole area, and that looks great.
Yeah.
So I think taking it downtown, going down to where the new medical school is going to be, where those apartments are.
Yeah.
That's going to be
that
huge.
area is going to fill in.
Medical 2 miles it'll be eventually.
Yes.
But and have good housing in there would be nice.
I tell people all the time, I say, Florence Food and Wine, you go downtown Florence for Florence Food and Wine, and downtown feels completely different. I mean, you see it then.
Yeah,
That's when this place comes to life, in my opinion.
it does.
And I'm so grateful of how well that's done, and I think it just continues to grow every year, doesn't it?
It does. Frank Chisholm, who was he and Jimmy Brown and I have been business partners for about 30 years now. And that speaks a lot in itself.
Oh yeah.
And then Frank and I we were sitting in his office one day, and we were talking about we need to do something to improve Florence or add some more lifestyle to it, quality of life.
Yep.
And Frank's a wine snob. I hope he listens to this.
We hope he does too.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, he's a wine snob, and I'm sitting here with Victor's, and I want to build the food experience not only with Victor's but around the whole. I want Tubbs to do well. I want the Hope Brothers to do well. I want particularly independent Redbone Alley, Holy Smoke, and all these independent people that I really want them to do well, and hopefully when we bring in these celebrity chefs, Sean Brock this year. Last year we had Rodney Scott. The year before we had Vivian Howard, and brought Ted and Matt Lee, and we brought the lady from Asheville one year. But we bring in these people, and they get to work together, and I think that fuels when they're working with these James Beard award-winning chefs.
Yeah.
I think it can build up that. Gosh, I can do this. I'm sitting here prepping next to this guy. He preps the same way I do. I'm actually better at it than he is. And then all of a sudden their imagination goes, and then they can be that entrepreneur that takes the risk to open a restaurant and do really well at it and be a James Beard Award winner.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's interesting. My son is a baseball manager for a USC baseball team. And I asked him, I said, Talon, what have you learned so far this year? And he said, Dad, people are people. And, he went in with this idea that, the coaches, the players, these guys are just, something's different about them. But he said, I've realized they put on their pants the same way. And whether it's cooking food or playing baseball or something else, if you're alongside somebody who's been successful, and then you realize, hey, I can do that too, it levels up what we can provide here.
Exactly. Builds their confidence up.
Yeah.
Yes, I hope that, that's one of the reasons I was motivated to do the Wine and Food Festival, and wanted just to offer something. So Frank and I, we sat around and said, let's do it. And so we, this was in 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
And so we called 3 or 4 of our friends. We called Billy Hoyle and his wife, Mary Ann, Howard, and Paula Eford, and Lane and Al Gilpin, and said, hey, girls, we want to do a little wine thing here. And Frank had a friend, forget his name now, but an African-American winemaker from California. He and his wife came in, and we did it at the Waters Building. We set up 60 chairs, and we sold 60 tickets, and had a 4-course wine dinner. I'm not sure. I think we had. I used to take a tell effect where I would just tell people what they need to do, which is not always a good thing to do. And I had 4 other restaurants that told me, you're going to do the first course, you're going to do the second course, third course, fourth course. So that didn't come across really well. We got through the first couple of years with me telling people what to do, and then we changed that. And but at any rate, they had a really good first event. And then I think the next year we needed an executive director, and we hired Helen Holland. She had just finished a stint working for David Beasley, and so she became she created our logo, and she created the name of all our signature events and stuff. And then we had a signature chef or two. I can't remember who we had come in, but then Helen retired. And we had COVID came in for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then we brought in Matt and Ted Lee as our celebrities chef. And then we hired them to be our producers. And what they are fantastic at is developing the program, because we want to be educational, and so that people can learn about different kinds of wine. We want to be able to taste different kinds of food. And that's what the grand tasting is on Saturday morning from 11 to 2. It's a tent with probably 50 different restaurants involved in it, probably 60 different kinds of wine, and you can taste it, and there'll be someone there to explain to you about the wine. And but it's an incredible event. We have and the Lee brothers are the MCs of the whole weekend actually. But anyway, they brought a level of sophistication that we had not had, and in context, we were suddenly Garden and Gun is mentioned us in an article, or Southern Living's mentioned us. I mean, just a little mention. It starts with a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And so they're doing that, and then we have this weekend when we have Wine Food Festival, we'll have all the we'll have over 20 writers in here that are going to be writing about the Wine and Food Festival, and all kind of magazines, Local Palate, Garden and Gun, Southern Living, South Carolina Living Magazine, South Carolina Wildlife. There'll be all these writers in here, and Raleigh Magazine, the Charlotte Magazine, Charleston Magazine. It's going to be
That's great exposure.
It's great, but the Lee brothers with their contacts,
Yeah.
And we're also, of course, our charity of the Wine and Food Festival is Help for Kids, and we end up. It varies year to year based on our costs and expenses, but we'll give them. They'll $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 is what we end up.
Fantastic.
Because we don't try to not make a profit. We're just going to have operating expenses. But they'll get that kind of. And then we also do a scholarship for the James Beard Foundation.
Okay.
Because that's the epitome. If you can get in the hospitality industry, if you can get a James Beard nomination, is incredible. But if you can get a James Beard award, it's really sets you apart, and you can and that's what I want for Florence. I want somebody here to get nominated,
yes,
and somebody to win a James Beard award.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, it'd be incredible.
That would be so good.
Now, incidentally, Elliott's, he's been nominated twice.
Oh, okay.
When he was in Asheville, he was nominated for the best barbecue in the Southeast.
Wow.
And he was also nominated for best chef in the Southeast. But that was like 8 or 10 years ago. And so he's here now with a new operation, and he's getting lots of notoriety.
Maybe he'll get it.
The nomination would be great, but I think he's worthy of a nomination and an award. But
Definitely.
That time will tell on that.
Oh yeah.
So this Florence Food and Wine Festival is March 26th through the 28th.
Yep.
If someone has never been, how do they get tickets? Can you still get tickets?
Some events are sold out, which that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And because we want to keep this, we want to be the best small town wine and food in the country.
Wow.
Now, small town or small event, that's going to be around 2,000 to 3,000 people attend it.
Okay.
And that's where we want to kind of keep it at that. We don't want it to be like Charleston. I went to Charleston Wine and Food Festival last weekend. It was 40,000 people there. Although they have really improved, it was a really good show. And of course, I'm retired, so I went on Friday afternoon. So it was
Right.
it was a good time. I wouldn't have gone on Saturday or Sunday.
Sure it was wild.
I'm sure it was. But anyway, we want to be the best small town wine and food show in the country. And so we're going to keep it limited. So some things sell out. It starts Thursday. And you mind if I run the whole weekend with you?
Please do.
Awesome.
Please do.
That'd be
All
great.
right, so it starts Thursday out at Seminar and Elliott's and in the beer garden, and we'll have a number of vendors. I'm not sure how many food vendors will be set up, but it'll be out there. I think it starts at 6 and goes to like 8:30 or 9. Last year a lot of people said it was the best event, and Rodney Scott was our guy last year, and so he was doing some barbecue out there and stuff, and so that was great. At Thursday night, it's called the Meat and Meanders, all focused on meat, and you meet you meet 2 words: you eat
That's
meat
right.
and you meet,
Yeah.
and meander around, talk to people and stuff, and then Thursday night and then Friday we have the Sip and Savor, which we really came up with this idea because we wanted to promote the retailers that here in downtown Florence. And so we have either 10 or 12 places that you buy a ticket. To answer your question, Reeves, you have to go online and buy your tickets.
Okay.
For Florence Wine and Food. It's Florence Wine and Food. We had a discussion with the Florence, the national magazine, which is Food and Wine. So we had to change ours to Florence Wine and Food. We had to reverse it.
Okay.
So
The wine comes first.
yeah,
for
wine
us.
comes first.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Sip and Save, we wanted to highlight the retail places. So each retail location will get a different kind of wine, and there'll be a wine steward there to explain the wine. And it's a sip, it's a couple ounces. Of course, you can stay and get a second tasting too. But the theory is you'll go around to a dozen places in downtown and taste wine, meet friends. I'd say the hardest part for me was getting through all 12. I don't think I've made through all 12 yet. And so anyway, Carolina Bank does one, Behringer does one, 2 dress shops down here. The lingerie shop over here participates, and the gallery. It's a fun event. And then that same night, we have 2 other parties that are events going on. One's after the Sip and Savor's over, everybody comes to one location, and I think it's a Waters building, and they have like a VIP party there, and with more wine and more food, and that's usually a really big party there, a lot of fun. And then Saturday morning is a grand tasting. My wife and I, and Rick and Deborah Beasley, we went to Italy about 2021 during COVID, and we went to a truffle fair, and that truffle, it had a big tent, and inside it had another circular setup with bars and tastings, and so I took pictures of that, and we came back and we kind of recreated that here with what we call the grand tasting. So we got a huge tent, and on the peripheral of when you go into the tent is all the food, and in the center is all the wine. And you'll about probably 50 stations of food and about 50 or 60 stations of wine. Have a stage set up at the very end, and that's where we do cocktail demonstrations and tastings. We do a food demonstration. That's where Sean Brock will do a cooking demonstration at 4:00. But that event starts at 11, goes to 3. That morning, Ray Isles, this is his 4th year here, he is the wine editor of the Food and Wine magazine, and he comes every year. I don't know how we get him to come every year, but he comes and he does a class in Victor's Ballroom. And you walk in, it's beautifully done. You have like 6 glasses of wine, empty glasses, and then he goes through and tastes with you each wine and explains all the notes in the wine. And sometimes they'll have, I'm not sure he does it this year, it was very enlightening for me. They said, you take, I just tasted a white wine, so you taste that floral note. No, I don't taste that floral note.
Yeah.
Have y'all had that experience? Somebody tell you, oh, yeah,
I have.
Yeah, so they pulled the flower out, and he said, sniff that flower. So I smelled that flower, and then I drank the wine. And it was like the floral note exploded in my mouth.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Yep.
And so that's part of the learning experience that Ray Isles does with 5 or 6 different wines. That's like 24 people can go to that. And so that goes on the same time as it starts. I think it starts around 11. But anyway, those are wonderful events.
Yeah.
We end up at 4:00 with Sean Brock doing his demo, and then that night is the final pour where we have the 300 people in front of the PAC Center over there. It's really a great experience. Now, what we're adding this year, and this is probably not going to happen again. Maybe it might. Vivian Howard, who came about 3 years ago. Now, Vivian Howard's claim to fame is she had a program on PBS, a #1 program in the country, in all markets on PBS ETV stations, called The Chef and Farmer. And she had a little place up in Kinston, North Carolina, and she created a huge business out of it, and she ran that program for 5 years, and then she stopped it, and she was out for a couple of years, and she's created another one called Kitchen Curious. And so she's going to come to Florence and do some taping for that show, Kitchen Curious, on Friday and Saturday. And it's going to it'll be really interesting that won't air, that program won't air. She's going to do it, when she's going to do it this 28 in March. It'll probably air in December, but it'll take that long, maybe even next January. But it'll take that long to get all her episodes put together. But that's going to be the kind of national exposure that we would love to have here in Florida. Oh, I forgot about Danica Patrick is going to be here.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
She owns a winery called Synonym. I don't know why you named something this hard to pronounce. Synonym. We'll have to look at it.
That is tough.
Synonym.
Danica Patrick Winery. Look it up.
Look it up.
Say it.
I can't say it.
Yeah.
But she's going to be here in person.
Okay.
On Friday and Saturday. Saturday for sure. She'll be here, and she'll be at the grand tasting. The final pour, and she'll be pouring her wine.
Cool.
It'll be a cool event.
Man, this sounds like an awesome event.
Yeah.
I have not been before. I got to be here this year.
Yeah.
I got to go online and get some tickets.
Yeah, and if I had to choose one thing, I would do the grand tasting on Saturday morning.
Okay.
And if you had to do 2, well, I can't do it. You do all of them or just that one?
Because it'll be sold out soon.
Oh yeah, it'll be sold out
Yeah,
soon.
I was trying to decide when you were going through it whether I wanted to go Saturday morning or Friday evening.
Yeah,
Just do both.
But
just do
we'll
both.
Yeah,
I've got a funny story about the food and wine here. I was in Charleston a year or two ago, and they found out I was from Florence, an older lady, and she said, "Oh yeah, I go to the food and wine in Florence. There's no good single men in Charleston. I can find men a lot better there." I'm like, okay,
Wow.
we just opened up a whole new demographic.
Yeah.
There's all kind of things you can find, I guess.
Yeah, and we got day trippers. We have occasionally I'll take the train from here to Charleston, and then you can come from Charleston here. We're promoting for day trippers from Charleston to get on the train 9:15.
Yep.
Get here at 10:45.
That's awesome.
And then that's just when they can walk over. It's 2 blocks. From the train station downtown. And then they can stay here till about 6 and then head back.
That's our dream.
So, Tim, we've talked about that on the podcast.
Oh,
We're
have you?
actually going to do a podcast where the 3 of us, me,
Show
Izzy,
the
and
day
Robert,
trip on the train.
Oh yeah.
we showed it. And if we could ever get Amtrak, even just like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to make those times even a little bit more, it would be awesome. But to be able to take the train to Charleston, or take the train from Charleston and come back to Florence, come to Florence.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
there's such an opportunity.
We
because-
got to get that more consistent.
Yeah, well, it's Amtrak has to defer to CSX,
That's right.
the money making part of their
That's right.
business.
That's right.
And then of course they're doing a lot of construction on the tracks, and when that happens, it's like right now the schedule's 2 hours off from what it normally is. That's because they're doing this construction like in Virginia or something.
Oh wow.
But anyway, when it'll get back to a regular rotation, but still it's 6:15 from here to Charleston, get there at 7:30, and 9:15 here at 10:45 is hard to beat.
Yeah.
And the challenge with trains is if something happens, a tree falls on the track, that's stoppage for a long time.
Yeah.
Or any kind of accident happens, but that's really relatively rare. But I tell you what, if you get on that train, you better be ready to get on it because it's leaving. It stops for like 5 minutes and it loads up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's quick. You don't. There's no security, which is kind of scary. You don't go through a wanding or anything.
Just get on the train.
It's kind of relaxing on the train,
It
though,
is.
isn't it?
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get
Noise.
We've got to do this.
We gotta do
this.
that.
Yeah.
Well, let me do it with you.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
with you.
We will do that.
That would be
That'll
so much fun.
It'd be
be
fun because if it's afternoon, leave here at 6:15. You have a bar car on there.
Yep.
So go up there and get a couple of bourbons or
Oh, wow.
a couple of glasses of wine. And
Yeah.
a little charcuterie board and have a nice time. The internet's great on there. You watch the movies or do all your email work and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really
That's
cool
perfect.
event.
That's perfect.
So I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
Put you on the spot a little bit. If you could go back to Tim Norwood graduating from Francis Marion University, what would you say to that guy, knowing what you've accomplished, all the success, all the failures, to that guy who was just walking across the stage? What kind of advice would you give?
Well, first of all, I've lived my life and it's been great.
Yeah.
Okay. And I really wouldn't change anything, even those 7 years of hell I went through, which was, by the way, was all self-imposed. I mean, nobody did it to me.
Right.
I did it to myself, which is a key factor in moving forward. Is you have to realize that you're responsible no matter what. And but if I had to go back, that Tim Norwood that was graduating was a very overconfident, know-it-all. Thought there's nothing that you could not do, and I still believe nothing you can't do. But I just did it. I was just a little, overconfident, a little too arrogant about my abilities. And if I could rewind that just a little bit. Okay. Honestly, I look back, I was like, how did I have any friends? I was just so overconfident. It was crazy. But
that's good, though.
Well, you got to have some of that in
you got to have some of it, but
Yeah.
I got a little double dose of it. And wish I'd had just a one dose. And of course, that confidence is built over time on successes. Right. And I had, from the time because I was a fat little shy kid when I was 12, and then going through Boy Scouts and getting active in church, and my confidence grew, and and people tell you you're doing good, and then you start believing too much. As my mother told me one time, she said, I think I gave you too much. I helped you get too much confidence. And so I think that 22-year-old kid, if I could have just backed off a little bit on my confidence, and been a little more humble and appreciative of where I was.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah. Good word for all of us. For all of us.
Well, I appreciate all you do for Florence, the community. You inspire us. We hope we can one day do a small part in helping this city continue to grow and do well.
Well, you're doing it right now.
Well, thank you. You sent us a message a while back, and you said you guys are doing good, and that encouraged us a lot. I appreciate it.
It really did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.